So we're going to use the Varispeed function to record at a slower speed, meaning the pitch is lower, and then bring up the whole speed of Logic's playback back to its correct speed. And the reason we might do that is if you have a vocalist that is struggling to reach one of the high notes, you can record them at a slower speed, so the pitch of the song is lower, so they can reach that high note, and then you can bring up the speed of the project back up to its normal speed and pitch. So let's access Varispeed. If you right click and go to Customize Control Bar, and you get all the extra things that you can add to the control bar. Obviously you don't want to have them all clicked because it just gets a real mess there, but you can customize it. If you find there's things that you need to use, then you can add them up here. So what we'll do, we can see it's here, Varispeed. It's greyed out at the moment, and there's a little menu here. That's because it's set to beats and project. If we go to custom, now we can add stuff there. So we just set that to custom, and let's check Varispeed. When I click that, notice we get this new little button, the plus minus button. And also what we get is this central thing that says speed only. This is all good now. I can click away. So just click OK. So speed only will mean that it plays back slower. Let's have an example. So let's play back the electric piano, and let's drop the speed. Notice when I drop it, the button lights telling us we're on Varispeed, and this goes orange, and so does that. It's still at 90 BPM technically, but it's going to play back much slower. So it's slowed down the speed. It's a little bit like slowing down the BPM. What that might be useful for is if you're a guitarist and you're trying to get the solo down and it's just a bit too fast, you can record it at a slower speed. Let's go down -44, and I'm going to record a little bit. Just check this is coming through. Hello, 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 hello. Yeah, I've got a mic going in there. So let's record a little bit. So you can hear it's going very slowly, but I'm talking back at a normal speed, just as a way of being able to hear when we put it back up to the normal speed of Logic. My voice should be very quick. Let's try that. If we listen back, just as a way of being able to hear when we put it back up to the. So that's how I spoke it. Let's put it back to normal speed. Turn the button off. So you can hear it's going very slowly. I'm talking about the normal speed, just as a way of being able to hear when we put it back up to the normal speed of Logic. So you can hear it's sped way up. That was an extreme example, but that might be a way of nailing a guitar solo if it was just a bit too quick and the guitarist was stumbling on the notes. Let's change it. Let's do another recording. Instead of speed only, let's click the word speed only, and let's choose Varispeed. So it's speed and pitch. If we put it back to 0, take it off solo. So we've got the piano at a normal speed. Let's bring the Varispeed down. So it's slower and it's also dropped in pitch, just like slowing a record down. We can record now at that speed. Let's do a little recorder. So let's go back on audio 1, hit record enable. Boom, 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 boom. 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 Incredible vocal.
That's a tape.
Pardon?
So that's a tape.
Yeah, it's a hit. But I just wanted to sing in tune with it. Let's just have a listen. Take it off record. So you can hear it's in tune with the electric piano. Let's take it off Varispeed and listen back. So this is back at its normal tempo and normal pitch. You can hear it's starting to go a little bit cartoony. You know, like in actual fact, the technical term for it is Mickey Mousing. When you pitch up a vocal, there's a certain region where it's acceptable and it sounds natural, but as you push it higher and higher, it starts to go like that. Oh, get that down Mickey Mouse for us. So it's starting.
That's a really good impression.
Oh, thanks. So you start to get that kind of effect. Of course, that might be something that you want to use, because in a lot of hip hop and trap, we hear voices that are as a creative effect. How do you think we could do that with Varispeed? How can we get a low voice? Speed it up and record. Yeah. So let's, instead of being a minus 24%, let's go up plus 24. Still just about singable for me, so let's record a little bit. Just going to do a little bit of talking as well, just because that might help to hear that pitch bend. If we listen back. So normal. Just going to do a little bit of talking as well. Just normal. Take it off Varispeed just by pressing the button.
Might help to hear that pitch bend. Just going to do a little bit of talking as well.
So it changes the character of my voice, of course. It sounds, the pitch is still related to the electric piano, but it's changed the character because it was recorded fast and then slowed down. Yesterday we were talking about building up choirs and backing vocals and double tracking. This is a technique that a lot of people use to make one single singer sound like a few singers, is get them to do each take at a slightly different Varispeed. And you can change the quality and it sounds like different people, even though it's just one person. So there's a few uses for Varispeed. Hopefully those give good examples. One might be setting Varispeed to speed only. That example might be guitarists. They've got no problem with reaching the high notes because a guitar has a fretboard. You just press your finger on the right fret. But what their problem might be is that the solo is just at the limits of their ability. It's just a bit too fast for them to play. So slow the song down, let them get their guitar solo down at a slower speed, and then bring the whole project back up to the normal speed, and you'll probably find that their solo is much more accurate rhythmically and perhaps hitting the notes perfectly. So that's one example. That's speed only, where it only changes the tempo. The other one is Varispeed, which is speed and pitch, which is much more the traditional way, where as well as the tempo, the speed, it drops the pitch or raises the pitch. And that can be useful for particularly vocals if the vocalist is at the limits of their range. Either the song just at one point goes a bit too high for them, or inversely, of course, it might be that there's a point in the song where it's just a bit too low, it's out of their range. So you could use Varispeed and temporarily bring the pitch up of the track, let them record their part at a more comfortable pitch, and then bring it back down to the standard thing. Those are the two key modes. The Varispeed and MIDI. If your track has a lot of MIDI in, it will just adjust the MIDI as well. So, I've not tried that mode very much. What I'm wondering is, actually, if you play your solo, say the track is in A, if you play your solo in A on the keyboard, does it then transpose it? I would have thought it probably did. So you could try that out, though, if you're interested in investigating. As I say, I don't know. I've never used it. I generally use the Varispeed, speed and pitch mode the most. That's it. It's quite a nice, easy little tip. So a recap: to get there, you right-click on the transport bar so that you see the little menu. Just keep. It's a bit sensitive to where you right-click, so just keep trying to find a little open space until your right-click brings up the menu. Choose Customize Control Bar. You get all your options there. If you find Varispeed is greyed out, it's because you need to go and choose Custom here. And you can choose to add and remove stuff there. Locators, positions, you can minimize what's up there if you want. MIDI activity. Whilst we're in here, the other thing that you might find useful, if you've got a project running and the computer is really struggling and it's you've got loads of plugins which are creating latency, meaning your vocalist sings or you play a guitar note and you actually wait. There's a delay before you actually hear the note back again. Generally, that's because you've got a load of plugins running, and of course, it takes the computer. It has to compute the audio going through the EQ, through the compression, through the limiting. Particularly, limiters create a lot of latency. So this little button here, low latency mode, can be useful. If you've got a whole mix and you just want to track a little bit of vocal, but you're getting a lot of latency, you can just press this little button. It looks like a speedo. And what that does, it's quite clever. It looks through your whole mix and disables any plugins that are creating latency. Easy. Click it, do your tracking, and then click it again once you're done. So it just disables any things that are creating a lot of latency. Again, it's useful for tracking if you're experiencing latency. Don't know if you've seen that one as well. There's a little tuning fork there. If you need a quick way of tuning a guitar or something, just click the tuning fork and it will just tune. It gives you a tuner, like a guitar tuner. Cool, let's stop that.